Hello and welcome to the 4th edition of the Touchline Fracas podcast. I'm your host Lewis, and on this week's edition we will be discussing the previous week's fixtures, next week's fixtures, and the main topic for today is how we rate players, as well as much more. So let's introduce my guest for this week. I'm joined by regular guests, Chelsea fan Daniel.
Yo, what's up?
Liverpool fan Ellis.
Yo, what's good?
And also we have two debutants joining this week. Firstly, we have a man I've followed on Twitter for a while, but I've only just realised that his Twitter handle actually spelt Houdini. Is United fan Mario.
Evening, lads.
So, also now to somebody I haven't known long. He goes by the name of Mickey Kane, but he's not an Irish boxing legend or a rapper. Is Arsenal fan Christoph.
How you doing, guys?
How you doing? Right. So let's get straight into the week's results. We'll start with Arsenal. Capitulation in March, just like everyone predicted, right?
Anyone with sense, yeah. I mean, if you look at what happened at City, if you look at what happened at Liverpool, the manner of it, of what happened at Chelsea didn't surprise me at all. Especially when I saw the starting lineup. I mean, to go there with that midfield, it's very hard to justify if I was Arsene Wenger, so no surprise at all.
Okay. Daniel.
Yeah.
Chelsea absolutely smashed Arsenal.
Yeah.
So, how's that little horse going?
The small horse.
Yeah, the small horse, little horse.
Yeah, we the injury to Eto'o is really bad because I still don't trust Torres. I think in terms of the 6-0 game, I think it's just like Brendan Rodgers talked after he beat Arsenal as well, and I think it was just a tactical thing. I just think that he told them to come out. You could see immediately. He told them to press high. They won the ball real high up the pitch, and so it was a good game. Obviously, it was a good game for me. But yeah, really impressive. I'm not sure going forward because obviously Eto'o's injured, and I really think we need Eto'o to mount the challenge. But yeah, really impressed.
How long's he out for, Daniel?
He should be back for the PSG match.
Okay, so that's Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Next week Tuesday.
Is it?
Is it not this week? It's not next week. Is it next week? Is it? Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I think it's for the following week. I think.
Yeah, I'm not completely sure, but I think he's going to miss a couple of games. But Premier League is what I really like treasure, and so I'm disappointed with Eto'o's injury.
Okay. Ellis, 2 games in a row where you could kind of see the pressure and tension get into Liverpool in certain periods of the game. Okay, I'm not anti-Liverpool now, but Liverpool they were able to overcome. So are Liverpool fans really believing now?
We absolutely believe in them. 7 games to go, 1 point off the top, and you've got to believe. Obviously, Man City and Chelsea are still favourites. Like Brendan Rodgers said, we're just a little chihuahua in it. We're out here just playing. We're just playing football. Basically, everyone's motivated. Everyone's confident. 7 wins on the bounce. You've got to give us a little bit of credit. Yesterday's result was a bit different from what we've been watching for the past few months. Like, it was a proper, you had to grind it out. It was a bit of like a, dare I say, a Manchester United Alex Ferguson performance. You won't play too well, but for somehow, somewhere, you still get the result and champions elect kind of way. So,
okay. Well, we digress away from the title race. Maria?
Wow.
Another 3-0 loss at home. What are Man United hoping for the last quarter of the season from Moyes and the team? What are you hoping to finish with?
I just want this season over, to be honest with you. There's not much to play for, in total honesty. We've got Bayern in the Champions League, so that's not looking good. And yeah, I would say a bit of upturn, but 80% of the season's gone already, so yeah, just want the season to end. Forget about it, really. It's too painful these days. Yeah, it's just terrible. Going into the match, I didn't really expect anything. We stutter along, like, after the West Ham match, there was a bit of okay play, and I thought, okay, we might lose 1-0, 2-0, but the players just, no hunger, there was no drive, he set them up all wrong, and just, they could have had 5 or 6, to be honest, so, yeah, just soldier on, really.
Ouch. Anyway, well, that was the week's results. Just briefly. So what we'll quickly move on to is the Champions League draw. So there were some great ties that got pulled out of their hat. I mean, you got Real Madrid and Dortmund, Spanish derby, Barca, Atletico. Then you got Chelsea, PSG, the battle of the oilies. And United, Bayern, one fallen from grace and one still up there. So Daniel, how do you fancy your chances against PSG?
I'm not well versed on PSG, so I know a couple of players that have got obviously Zlatan's statistics. I think he's got like his minutes per goal ratio is like 99.8 or something like that. He's a beast, so we are going to have to worry about them. They've got other good players as well. Obviously, we have Mourinho, and Mourinho's got experience in everything and winning this. Usually, when you look at the Champions League, the last four, it's Mourinho, a Mourinho-led team, a Barca team, and two others. So I've got to hope that, again, this time we'll get to the semi-finals at least.
Okay. Mario?
Yeah.
Will you fare better than Arsenal against Bayern?
You guys actually put up a pretty decent fight, to be honest with you. I don't think so. Losing 3-0 to Liverpool City, Bayern could get ugly. They're not as direct as the English teams at times, so that might help, but I just expect us to get played off the park, to be honest. Might not reflect in the scoreline, but I've got very little hope that we go through.
Okay. Christoph and Ellis, do you fancy any surprises on the cards,
None.
None whatsoever, bro.
The closest thing to surprise would be Atletico Madrid. For the past 3 matches this season, the two-legged tie in the Super Cup between Barcelona and Atletico, and the game at the Calderón Stadium, is that how you pronounce it? Atletico's ground. It was very, very tight, incredibly tight. Now, if Atletico beat Barcelona, would I see it as a surprise? No. But that's the closest thing out of all 4 sides, in my opinion.
Oh, so everyone feels that Chelsea are going to beat PSG?
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
I'm 50-50 about that one.
Yeah, so...
I don't think Laurent Blanc is tactically astute to overcome No, I don't think he's... No, obviously, all respects to him, he's won the league and that. So I don't think he can... He's like... Mourinho's a whole different kettle of fish when it comes to that.
I agree with that.
I think Chelsea are overplaying PSG. I think I don't understand. Fine, they've got Ibrahimovic. Fine, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they've got other quality players as well. It's not just.
But I just can't see it going anywhere else.
But I think if you look at PSG's form so far, okay, league, and maybe it's not the best kind of indicator of how good they are. But if you look at, apart from Real Madrid, they're the most informed team in the Champions League so far. I think that it's a team that's going to be very hard to break down. Tactically, they're actually pretty astute.
Yeah.
The thing is, they've easily gone from 4-3-3, where the centre midfield has been quite robust. It'll be Thiago Motta, Verratti, and Matuidi. They can go 4-4-2 with Cavani and Ibrahimovic up front, and Lucas out on the one side, or Lavezzi or Pastore out on the other side. So I think Blanc so far has shown quite a bit of variation, and he's kind of underrated tactically. I think for France, it's unfortunate that he met essentially the best international team of all time in Euro 2012. I think the Bordeaux team he took to the Champions League this season after they won the league did okay, but at the end of the day it's Bordeaux, so how far could they really get? So
how far did that Bordeaux team get though? Did they get out of the group stage?
I think second stage. I
think they was in Chelsea's group that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they made it through.
They made it through.
No, I don't think they did make it through.
Fair enough. But
from memory.
Whilst I don't think Blanc's on his level, at the same time you could say the other Mourinho teams that have been beaten by other managers that have not been on his level as well.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. I agree. I think obviously anything is it's this Champions League. These are all good teams. So to brush any team out, you'd be stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Daniel.
And I assume we all expect Real to batter Dortmund.
It's not going to be fair.
Yeah, Dortmund had a tough season.
Especially with Madrid's 2 losses in a row as well. That essentially put them in the third favourites for the league. They're going to be... And this... And it's revenge. So
What? And nobody thinks Man United can do Bayern Munich over?
stop trolling.
Yes, Lewis. Nobody thinks that.
The thing is, I think that the more we say this, because I've seen happen so many times in the Champions League, the more you kind of just brush a team apart and say, look, they can't do it. The more
I will say this,
Unless you're managed by David Moyes.
And the other manager is Pep Guardiola. Listen, I'll be the first person to say, right, listen, I am well documented Pep Guardiola fan, right?
Yeah.
If there's one thing that we won't accuse a Guardiola team of being, is complacent. As soon as they get complacent, he leaves.
Is it?
Yeah, like
That's what he did at Barca.
That's what he did at Barca. It's the same thing he said. He felt like he can. It wasn't so much a problem with him. He felt he couldn't motivate them to the level he wanted them to be motivated. So he felt, I can't lead them the way I want to lead them, so I need to leave. This Bayern Munich team will not be complacent, not for 1 second. They will take it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can
No,
finish up.
finish this one. Nice one.
I was going to say, also, it's a German thing not to get complacent. Like, I don't think the German culture is to like get complacent. So add that to Pep Guardiola's drive. I'm sorry for Man United, man. Obviously, I will enjoy it as a Liverpool fan.
But I'm sure you will enjoy any glimpse of Champions League football, Ellie.
I just feel the whole season, the team hasn't shown any heart. To be honest with you, so why is it going to start now? Like,
I think it's hard though. For me, it's the same problem I felt like during the World Cup in 2010 when England got played out by Algeria, USA, Germany, whatever. People think it's hard. I don't think it's hard. I think it's a team that's just very poorly organised and have a lack of confidence.
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with those two things, but then there's still a level of sort of like pride. These guys are still champions. They still know how to play to a certain extent. There's still like a level of pride you want to see from the players. Like they're giving it their all, and I just don't see it. Like Liverpool just coming to Old Trafford and smashing. City just coming to Old Trafford and smashing us. There was no like, all right, guys, let's at least. They're being let. It's like they're like lambs to the slaughter, but
At least you drew against Arsenal.
Sorry?
Pardon?
At least you drew against Arsenal.
True.
And beat us.
Arsenal, well, you guys have just fallen off, man. every March the same thing happens, so.
No. The one part I disagree. I think any time that we're competing for the title, we fall off at this time. I think a big part of it is because, well, we're poorly, how can I put it, poorly managed in a general sense. But in terms of like how much we play our players, last couple of seasons, we tend to pick up our points around this time. We actually tend to get good.
Yeah, statistically.
But that's because you were trying to get fourth. You're trying to catch Tottenham both seasons, am I right? They were ahead of you and you were just trying to, so I don't know.
No, there's been a few seasons where we sort of like mounted a late title surge.
Last couple of seasons, yeah.
Sorry?
What title surge?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure there's been a few seasons in the last 8 years where we weren't, and we sort of like finished closer than we should have. But on the majority, it's been, chasing fourth.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So just the fact that they're, like you said, Christoph, they're so poorly set up, and I just don't see it. It takes a certain sort of grit to get through in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Like, you know how Mourinho's teams just used to defend for their lives against Barca.
Well, it's not even a Mourinho team. I think even the best example of that is Chelsea 2012.
Yeah, exactly.
The absolute best example of that.
Parking the bus, yeah.
But then you look at Bayern as well, with Robben and Ribéry going back. A lot of times I think just team ethic goes a lot. It goes far.
And we don't have any. There's just nothing there.
I think, like Christoph said, I just think it's a more of a poorly organised, low on confidence
team.
No, sorry, Christoph. Like watching that Man City game, I was watching Mata. He was like outstanding football. Everyone knows that, and he just looked so lost. He was giving the ball away. I couldn't believe it. He was just like giving the ball away. So I don't know. Obviously, me looking from the outside in, I don't know what's going on, but you can see he's low on confidence and whatnot.
I almost feel like, I know this sounds silly, but they're just playing so crap that Moyes gets sacked. Like, I just don't think they want him as their manager, man. I don't think anyone believes in him at all.
I'll be very surprised if the majority of the dressing room want him around next season.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's maybe it's us misreading it, but the body language of the players, the coaches, it's quite evident.
Yeah,
I think in terms of like I said, I think if it was a Bayern team, like under Van Gaal,
Yeah.
then maybe I'd be like, hey, do you know what? I could see him. If they really wanted, they could take him. But like a Guardiola team that want to make history, he wants to make history. He's never for 1 minute talked about winning the Champions League or any title the same way Pellegrini has talked about it this season, where he's really kind of said, okay, we should win a minimum of 3 trophies because we're Man City. You know, Guardiola up until literally the day before the title decided was like, you know, we've got to do this, we've got to do this, we've got to do this, we've got to do this.
Yeah, he's a perfectionist, man.
Yeah, exactly. And boy.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the main topic of the week now. So, in today's game, you know, with the ability to watch pretty much any game in the world from your sofa, every football fan sort of fancies themselves to be able to judge a player's ability, you know, to spot the future wonder kid, you know, who should be suitable for their team. And today we're just going to sort of discuss what actually goes into the thought process on how a player is judged. So let's start with the basics. We'll start with you, Christoph. What goes into your head when judging a player?
For me, the first two is tactical ability and technical ability. Those are the absolute foundations. Every great player in the history of football, that's where they excel. And after that, I break it down into mental qualities and physical qualities in coaching, not just in this country, everywhere really. We always talk about the 4 corners. Even if you have a mild interest in football coaching, you know about the 4 corners: tactical, technical, physical, mental. And you want to have a rough idea of a player's attributes in each section. And from there, I kind of try to make up my mind. You know, you don't have to be great in all 4. I think you can excel in 3 of the 4. But that's the way I kind of try to judge a player.
Okay, so in terms of a young player, would you still search for that tactical ability?
Yeah, when I say tactical, I mean it's not a guy that necessarily has to play 15 different positions or 4 different roles. It's just about it's more to do with decision making, with the actions that he takes, the positions that he takes up, how he interprets the role in his team, and you can spot that from a child from the age of 7 to 8 years old. So when we talk about tactical qualities, that's more the angle that we're leaning towards.
Okay. Daniel, do you think we're talking about fans here, do you think we have a better ability to judge players in the attacking sense rather than the defensive sense?
It's a good question. Me, I'm a watcher, I'm a fan. And so I've been watching youth football, I've been watching players progress for a long time. And I always like to, reassess how I thought they was going to turn out and how they actually turned out. And with defenders, it's the most difficult thing for me. I don't really judge defenders anymore because I don't think I'm good at it at all. It's difficult because, a quick story about John Terry. John Terry was almost, Chelsea said, you can go. They actually said, Steve Bruce was at Nottingham Forest at the time. I think they bid £100,000. Chelsea said you can go. And it's like there was no uproar about it or anything like that. There's always these good players. Company, I remember Company going through. He had, he was a young talent at Anderlecht. Everybody loved him. But because I see so many young talented defenders like Boumsong in France, and they come over and it's like, yeah, they can play ball. And a lot of times with defenders, we look at their ability to play ball, but it doesn't always translate with defenders. I think it's really hard. With attacking players, it's so easy for me. I call it Mahu Zahu. They've just got something. When you see them at 17, I'm talking about the best, the ones that like your Cristiano Ronaldos, your Ronaldos, your Hazards. They absolutely look worlds apart from everybody else. So it's really easy. Like even people that like Bale was at Southampton at the same time as Walcott, and obviously Walcott was the golden child. But there were certain people at Southampton that said, listen, Bale is better, and so it's not everyone that can see it, but I think certain people just see it. With attacking players, it's easy. With defenders, I think it's hard.
Ellis, how much do you think age plays its part as a player in terms of really developing into a great defender as opposed to developing into a great attacker? So would we see maybe a 21-year-old attacker being more highly rated than a 21-year-old defender?
Yeah, I think age does play a lot in it. Like, for instance, I use Liverpool as an example. We had Anthony Talek and Cinema Pongo, who are built to be the next big thing. As in, they were actually built to be like, when we got them, Sir Alex Ferguson called Gerard Houllier and told him, well done for getting these two players who absolutely shone in the under-17 World Cup.
Yeah.
So
Did you watch them at that point? Just going.
No, well, I didn't watch. I was just starting to get. I watched them like when Benitez took over, because when we brought them in, it was Houlier's last season and they weren't playing that much. So when Benitez came in, so we started to use them that much. We started to use them a bit more, and they fell off. They couldn't develop. The pressure was a lot. So as young people, when they get to that age, the pressure is a lot. Another defender. When you go to defenders, we bought Gabriel Paoletta from
Paoletta.
Argentina. We bought it. I can't remember where we bought it from. We bought it from somewhere from Argentina, obviously.
Yeah.
And then he played one season, then he left. We built him. There was not enough time. What I'm trying to say anyway. Now Paoletta is an Italian international. With defenders, you have to give them time, because they need to understand the basics. Not the basics, but they need to understand the art of defending. Whereas attackers, no, it's true, because like with defenders, there's a lot to it. You're the last man.
I'll say the thing about defending, right? And I understand why Daniel thinks it's harder to judge him in comparison to attacking players. The thing about great attacking players is you can perform well as an individual, but as a defender, you can have, and I'm talking literally from experience as a guy who's played defense myself, whether it's top level or the lowest level. You can have a stormer, you can win every tackle, intercept every ball. However, if your team concede 2 or 3, it doesn't look good. And that's the thing about being a defensive player. You're part of a unit. And the reason why, if you look at it in terms of the age thing, great defenders are great decision makers first and foremost. It's a mental thing, and these are qualities that kind of come with age. When you talk about young defenders, you want to kind of look more at their one-on-one defending. But for me, that's why I find it's harder to kind of judge a young defender, because it's essentially it's a role that you get better with age, and that's my point really.
I think.
Sorry.
You're gone. It
is hard. Also, Chelsea just bought Kurt Zuma. Brilliant young defender, but he's going to take time to adapt because he's still raw. And like Kane said, with age, he's got good decision makers, but with age, you're gonna find different ways, because he's gonna come against. Let's say for instance, he's gonna come against someone like Aguero and Suarez. Now he's never come against these kind of defenders. So then, are we gonna judge him based on that at 21, 22?
But I say that, but you know what? Saying that though, you have a guy like Raphael Varane. And that's the thing I want you to bring up when you said Zuma, is because I find there's 2 types of defenders, right? Or 3, if you want to look at it that way. They're the stoppers, and then there's the organisers, alright? And for me, the stoppers excel in one-on-one defending, and that's something that you can have at a young age. If you look at like the likes of Maldini, the Cannavaros, the Nestors, the Rio Ferdinands, these guys are great one-on-one defenders from a young age, hence why they were playing at the top level from that age. So if Zuma's one of those guys, he may not need to adapt that quickly. But then you have other defenders who don't have maybe the necessary athleticism or the aggression or those elite one-on-one skills. However, like Daniel said with with John Terry, he's a good one-on-one defender. I don't think he's the best, but where he is exceptional is his reading of the game, the way he organises his back line, him as a defensive leader. So we kind of have to look at a defender at a young age. Does he fit that mould? Does he fit this mould?
Yeah.
And then it gives you a better idea of where he's going to go.
With John Terry, just Ranieri at the time was there, and Desailly was there as well. And I think Desailly was a big reason why he got his chance, because Desailly was telling Ranieri, you have to play him. Because he said at 18, he's already bossing around everybody in the field. All of the strikers in training, they couldn't get past him and all that type of stuff. So there is something, where you can take a young defender and say, okay, this guy. But at the same time, it's like Raphael. I know he's a fullback, but when he went to Manchester United, he was making loads of mistakes, but you have to be brave and you have to keep them in there because, like we were saying, with experience. I mean, right now you don't see as many young players getting played, but because it's all about risk and no one wants to take risk at the back. But you know, if you just a little bit of trust, and then a couple of years down the line, I think it pays off.
I think I agree with you, but I think it's all about achieving a balance. I will never play. This is something I thought Wenger was guilty of, was getting rid of our defensive leaders a bit too quickly and throwing in, because for me, like, Kolo Touré was never a defensive leader. Yeah, at one point it was him and Senderos. So you have a guy who is essentially, he's the stopper, he's the partner, Kolo Touré, and you have Senderos, who is a bit more of a defensive leader. However, he's still too young to be kind of leading the line at that point. So, you know, I fully agree with you. I think just because you're a defender doesn't mean that you have to go for experience at all times. But it's just about achieving that balance. Because
I was going to say Sunderland is a great example because Sunderland actually, I was talking about that tournament where Chris played that at 16, Rooney was at 15. Another star of that tournament was Sunderland, and Arsene Wenger actually bought him from that tournament because he was billed as like the best defender that Europe's going to see for a while. And obviously, we saw how that turned out.
Well, at the end of the day, you saw the potential in the fact that he's part of, you know, the greatest defence the Champions League has ever seen. So, you know,
Sunderland.
Yeah.
The greatest
10 games without conceding a goal.
Huh?
10 games without conceding a goal.
Oh, what you mean the Czech one?
In 06, yeah.
With Czech and goal, yeah, okay.
With Czech and goal?
Which one are you talking about?
He's talking about Arsenal.
No, you're talking about Arsenal. On our run to the final,
yeah,
we didn't concede a goal for. Was it 10 games?
Literally 10 games.
Yeah.
No, but like we was talking about before, it's a unit. I don't know if you can give, you know.
No, but that's my point. If you look at the unit, right?
Yeah.
You've got Emmanuel Aboué. Like, you laugh at it now. It sounds ridiculous. You've got Emmanuel Aboué on the right. You've got Firmino on the left, and you've got Kolo Touré and Senderos. I think Campbell really came in for the final.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a bit. It's in spurts. It's in little moments here and there. But that kind of record shows you what those guys are capable of. But you met Drogba and we know the rest.
So what went wrong with Senderos in the end?
In my opinion, he was part of a poorly managed defence and poorly coached defence. I think if you had a defender like Senderos now, like if Senderos was our fourth centre back now, absolutely love it, because you have a nice balance of defensive leaders in Mertesacker and a guy like Senderos, and then you've got the stoppers like Vermaelen and Koscielny, and it's the right environment. Like, part of youth development is in my opinion, they have to have the right environment, the right players to kind of coach him. I don't think Fabregas would have been the same Fabregas if he came up with this Arsenal team. You put it in that 2003-2000 Arsenal team, it's a whole different ball game. So, you know, I just think it was that he was poorly coached.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit worried that both Rio and, because I think Rio's going to be gone by the end of the season, but Vidic is already gone, and I see it potentially in the three guys we've got, but I don't trust Evans to be the senior centre back. So I wonder who Moyes is going to bring in, because I do feel they need somebody who keep them in order. You know, they get a bit lost at times, and so I definitely know what you mean in terms of balance, experience, that sort of thing. Yeah,
I heard Moyes is getting Jagielka.
Is that Ellis?
I just want to ask, has anyone watched Mangala play?
I've seen him a few times in the Europa League.
He's a beast though, he's a brute fan. He's bare fresh.
This is what we're talking about, because this is what we're talking about in terms of young players, because if we're looking at people like, when I was talking about Santos in that tournament, one of the reasons why he was rated a lot is because I can't remember either it was Cristiano Ronaldo or Rooney, but they were saying, I think it was Rooney, he said that this is the best defender I've played against and stuff like that. And that happened, and Mangala, I haven't watched the Portuguese league, so I don't even know why he's rated, but you do see a lot of athleticism. Like, obviously, if you're big, strong, with Zuma, I've seen videos of him, he's big, strong, he's tall, he flies into tackles and all that type of stuff. So you see that type of, people rate that type of defender. Then you've also got the kind of David Luiz defenders who we rate now because they're really good on the ball. Mangala, the amount of money that I'm hearing quoting from Mangala, 40 million and all this type of stuff, is crazy. If anyone's watched Mangala, do you think he's worth that money, and why?
I haven't watched him personally.
I haven't watched
I've not
him
seen
enough
enough of him
to...
for me to have
I haven't really seen enough to him to be. But I think
But obviously, with 40 million, these people are saying they obviously everyone thinks he's the real deal. So I'm wondering.
I think it's just, Porto, man, that's how Porto do their business. Either if you want the player, this is what you're going to pay. If you don't want him.
Yeah, but they can't just you can't just slap 40 million in the defender.
But they can. They have done it.
Calabaro.
Pepe.
Silver.
No, for how do you say it? Calabaro.
Carvalho.
Carvalho.
Sorry, I can't pronounce his name.
Carlo Carvalho.
Yeah, so they put 20 million on him. But Chelsea had to pay.
That's not 40 million though. This is what I'm saying. This is
40
like
is a lot, man.
how many defenders has moved for 40 million? And don't forget, Man City wanted him. Mourinho's been interested.
But why not?
Him.
Why not?
Huh? No, I'm just saying. That's why I was just throwing out there. Has anyone seen this guy? Because obviously 40 million is no joke. So he must have like certain qualities that people are.
Yeah, like I think my thing is, if there's one thing that Colatori has taught me is don't get gassed by athleticism at a young age, because as soon as it goes, like that's the thing. Like I find, when you're judging a defender in his one-on-one abilities, be very careful when it comes to, okay, is he winning those tackles or marking him out of the game because of his athleticism, or because he just knows how to defend very well?
Yeah. I mean, I think a good example of it is when people say, "Oh, can you imagine how good Mertesacker would be if he was fast?" And I just sort of think, well, do you know what? If he was fast, he probably wouldn't be as good as he is, because he wouldn't have maybe nurtured the other aspects of his game as well as he has if he was as fast. Do you get what I'm saying? So his tactical aspects.
Reminds me of?
Sorry?
Mertesacker reminds me of Sammy Hooper. They weren't quick. He wasn't. Sam Hooper was probably the slowest defender I've ever seen in my life, but you won't get past him. Just because he's so intelligent. Me personally, when I look at Arsenal fans, I've always rated Mertesacker over Koscielny.
I rate him similarly for different reasons.
For me, just because his reading of the game is so immense. Where Koscielny, he has to he's always doing a last minute lunging tackle. He's using his pace, but Mertesacker's. He is, for me, when I watch him, that's what he's always doing, man. He's always
I understand what you mean. I can agree to a certain extent.
Yeah, so when Mertesacker's he's not really, because he knows he's not the quickest, so he's always a couple yards in his head ahead of the striker, so he knows where the ball's going to go.
Okay.
I'd like to ask Mickey Kane a question about Vermaelen when he came, because I know that obviously we can't generalise, but the view from Arsenal fans I was getting personally when Vermaelen first came was, this is the best guy since ever. And obviously the views changed dramatically. And I want to know, did you rate him a certain way, and then have you changed? When
I rated him, essentially, I never considered him an elite defender. I thought he was a good defender. I never looked at him and thought, okay, this is, if I want to be a centre back, let me watch Vermaelen. I think the goals definitely helped.
Yeah.
I think we can't get away from that. I think he defends and defenders like him, guys like Vincent Kompany, guys like David Luiz to an extent, they defend in a spectacular way.
Yeah.
So have you revised your opinion of him? That's what I was asking. That question.
No.
Okay.
Because for me, I still consider him a potentially very, very, if you're going to go out of 10, I still think he could be an 8 out of 10 defender. Did
you think that he was the best defender in the Premier League at one point?
Never, at no point did I think that. Okay. Never.
Lewis?
No, I mean, I thought Vermaelen was very good when he came. My opinion of him slightly changed.
Yeah.
Because Mickey's right. I mean, when he first came, he did defend in a very spectacular fashion, and you get away with it sometimes at first, and then that sort of second season syndrome, which happens to a lot of defenders, seems to occur.
If I can just jump in for a second.
Yeah.
The game I realised, okay, I knew he was good, but he's not top tier, was the 2009-2010 Arsenal-Barcelona games. I think it was. And it was the second half when Ibrahimovic got the 2 goals.
Yeah.
And his positioning
was poor.
So poor.
So you didn't revise your opinion of him?
No, I didn't revise. I never thought he was top class, but that's what I knew. That's what confirmed for me, okay, he's not top class.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of rash.
Because you sort of want him to iron out those creases. You sort of feel like he can iron out those creases. You let him get away with it first season, because he's adjusting and stuff like that. And because he was still a relatively young man when he came as well. He was, I think, when he joined,
24, wasn't he?
23, 24. So that's still quite young for a defender. You just sort of think, do you know what? After this guy's first season, he is going to be top notch. Yes, he can improve on this. Yes, he can improve on that. But it hasn't quite worked out that way. Even though I don't believe he hasn't regressed as a player. He hasn't progressed either. So
I'd say this. What I will say is this, right? Is it wasn't so long ago that the same way we're looking at Vermeer, we looked at Koscielny, and there's a genuine argument to say Koscielny is in the top tier of defenders right now. Whether you want to say that's the top tier is particularly great is another argument, but there's not many centre backs out there that we can say is outright better than Koscielny, and he was in a similar place that Vermaelen was. However, he had the benefit of not being injured as long as Vermaelen has.
Are we talking about, when you're saying the place, are we talking about reputation? Because for me, I think we have...
I'm talking about skill. I'm actually talking about the actual quality of defenders that are out there.
Okay, the reason why I'm saying this is because me personally, and I don't know, obviously I know Mickey, I think I've seen you tweet, you watch a lot of different football. But for me, I don't watch that much football. And even when I am watching football, I'm not scrutinising defenders, performances. A lot of time when we watch football, maybe it's just for me, but we watch the attacking players more. And so when I see all of these people that seem to have the knowledge of every single defender and know who's the hottest, it really kind of, it's crazy, because obviously with attacking players, it's so simple to see, because obviously attacking players is about those minutes, those goals, those assists, whereas defenders, it's concentration over the full 90 minutes. And you can tell me that you're watching the French league, you're watching the Spanish league, you're watching all of this, and you're telling me that you know how to play with these defenders. That's crazy.
My thing is, when I want to judge a player regardless of position, I don't judge in one game. I try to judge him over 6 games in a season. The reason I say 6 is I know it's pretty random to say.
Yeah, it is.
It's because 6 games, they'll have played a variety of competition, whether it be domestic or continental, maybe even international, if you catch it during an international break. They play a variety of competitions. So one, it might be the Copa del Rey. Next will be La Liga. Or next it may be a friendly. So you have an idea of them versus a variety of opposition. In terms of difficulty as well, so they may be facing relegation for the 1 minute. Next, they may be facing the title leaders. And I say with great concentration, I watch the English, German, French, Italian, Spanish. Those are the top 5. A little bit here and there. And the top defenders are in England, are in Germany, Italy, especially Spain, and there's a couple in France. And for me, there's none I would put above the kind of regular names that come up. The Silvers,
it is kind of, when you talk about Thiago Silva, and sorry for interrupting again, it's just that Thiago Silva, a midfielder in Brazil, goes to Serie A, he turns to the defender before he goes to Serie A, goes to Serie A, becomes rated as the best, and obviously Italian league is known for the defenders. They know all about defending. Italians, Italians are well versed. He goes from a midfielder. I think he was even in his 20s when he turned into a defender. Goes there and becomes one of the best defenders in the league. And the reason why I ask this is because when the Brazilian league doesn't get, the Brazilians in general, they don't get ratings as a defensive. As producing defensive players. Obviously, we had Alex at Chelsea. We saw Thiago Silva. David Luiz is down here. And the reason why I was asking is because we always mug off Brazilian defenders, but my thing is the best attackers are bred in South America. So they're the ones going up facing off against the best attackers.
Of course, definitely.
Yeah, but those defenders are bred against, they're trained the best attackers day in, day out. And we see Suarez come, the best attackers in Europe right now are all South American. And they make fun out of more, like most of these European defenders here. So what I wanted to say then next is, I don't really know, how do you rate defenders? Thiago Silva can be a midfielder, go to Italy, and then becomes a defender and becomes the best.
For me, like I said, it just goes back to, and I'd like if Ellis and Mariah can obviously chime in when they want to, is the way I rate defenders is twofold, right? Is how they lead their line, how much, how well do they organise a unit, and also their one-on-one defending. Some of the best defenders either excel in one and okay or good in another, and vice versa. Now, Thiago Silva, the reason why he's rated out the best is because he excels in both. And that's the thing. Like, people say, okay, South American defenders, they don't really get the ratings because, well, they tend to excel in one-on-one defending. But in terms of being part of a unit, that's different because it becomes more of a tactical thing, which is the thing I find about South American players is the best players tend to come from there, but because it's more of an individual style of coaching, tactically it's still catching up to the European teams. So when you get that type of defender, you have a great one-on-one defender, a great individual. However, you put him in a back line or whether it's 3 or 4 guys, it's a different challenge, it's a different demand, and that's where the Italian defender will reign supreme. That's where the French defenders, because French, in my opinion, behind Italians, France create the best defenders. In my opinion,
I agree.
So
and the English
too. Yeah.
Yeah, go on, Moran.
So, how do you, like you've said all that about Thiago Silva, how do you rate David Luiz?
David Luiz, for me, is a phenomenal one-on-one defender. Absolutely phenomenal. I still think that the thing that he's lacking is that kind of positional sense and discipline. And
he's reckless, right?
It's weird. It's a weird one. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think David Luiz is potentially world class.
Yeah.
I'm a massive David Luiz.
As a Chelsea fan, and one thing we have to be careful with this, because I know that it's so easy for people to shape the nation. An example is like, I'm just saying, the media has so much sway. So on Match of the Day, I see that the commentators, they can't wait to point out a thing that David Luiz does. If Terry does something wrong, they won't make a big deal out of it. But anytime David Luiz right now, a little smidgen, they can't wait to kind of jump on it. And one of the things that David Luiz isn't rated for is a lot of the time when you see the ball coming into the box, and I'm not talking about aerial, I'm talking about more like across the ground. He's the man that stops it. He's like, people say that, but he's always there, and he's always.
If I could chime in, sorry, if I don't mean to cut you off.
No, that's cool.
Is the thing about also rating defenders is, like I said, it's like your performance is very dependent on your unit.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I find guys like PK and Puyol don't get as much ratings as they should, is because they play in incredibly expansive teams. So you have a defender who's played exceptionally well, but if you look at the overall team shape, he's very compact, he's very deep, so he's not really isolated. Now, a guy like David Luiz, it's a shame that under Mourinho he's not really started as much, because obviously his favourite pairing is Cahill and Terry. But I would love to have seen Terry and Luiz, because it's like there is a proper defensive unit. Will he be as exposed under Villas-Boas, under Di Matteo, under Benitez, where they play more expansively? If you look at his form for Brazil during confederations, where they face some top quality players, David Luiz shone. Him and Thiago Silva shone because Scolari set up the Brazilian defense very well. He had obviously, I can't remember who played fullback, but in front of them, the midfield in front of them were very, very rigid, very disciplined. I think, was it Gustavo and Paulinho and one more? I'm forgetting. I forget, but I think it was mostly Paulinho, Gustavo, and Oscar in front of them. Yeah. And it's very well organised. And David Luiz had an exceptional tournament. So
Luiz, I'm a big fan, just like you, of David Luiz. David Luiz actually played at the beginning of the season. Cahill was on the bench. He did play at the beginning of the season. And to be fair, Cahill has come in, and we've conceded less goals. However, one thing that also, then this is the danger when you take stats without knowing the complete story. Mourinho came in and made the effort to be more expansive at the beginning.
Exactly.
He changed it. He changed. It's not just like the fact that Cahill came in. He actually changed it and said, "Okay, full back, stay back," and all that, because our strikers weren't scoring. But I do think if David Luiz was to go to Barcelona, and we see him in that team, I think he could be considered up there, because he does amazing things. But he is still rash. I try to hide. I try to not see it. But you know, as fans, we do try to do it. I'm going to be honest. I try to, because I'm a big fan. But he is still rash.
So can I ask Mario a question?
Yeah, sure, man.
Because obviously we've spent quite a lot of time talking about obviously defenders. So in terms of rating midfielders, because if there's one thing that most Man United fans are kind of not happy with right now, is their midfield. How would you go about rating a great midfielder?
Again, it would be tactically and technically, but it's just what I kind of look at is what role you want your midfielder to perform. So personally, when I look at the way we're set up, we've got no mobility in there. So firstly, I'd want a midfielder who's got the legs, the energy, the stamina to get up and down. So if I had to think of somebody who I'd want, it would be Vidal. And the reason I say Vidal is because he's got that energy, that stamina, the mobility, but then he's also got the quality on the ball.
Yeah.
And let's say I'm looking for somebody who wants to play a bit deeper. I'm looking for somebody whose reading of the game is fantastic. The pace there is not as important.
Yeah.
Because, like, let's say the way Arsenal got split open by Chelsea, even if we had Busquets there, there's not much he could have really done, could he? Because
Exactly.
yeah. So when I'm looking at your deepest midfield, your distribution and his awareness and just his tactical understanding, and for the attacking midfielder, the midfielder who's going to be playing most in the final third, I'm looking at control in like tight spaces, because the closer you get to the goal, there's less space for you, right? So
Yeah.
I'm looking at for control in tight spaces. I'm looking for vision, and I'm just looking for like just a bit of flair, like just.
When you say that, right, and please, I hope you're on my side with this, okay? So you tried a variation of 4-4-1-1 or 4-4-2. How happy are you with Rooney as a number 10?
He's not a number 10 for me at all. I think we've discussed this, but he doesn't. The main issues with Rooney is, first of all, his control in tight spaces is poor. It is very poor. If he's crowded out 7 times out of 10, he's going to lose that ball. And secondly, that first touch of his is crazy. And you know, Rooney, the thing about Rooney is always, he plays well for a bit, then he plays badly, then he plays well. When he's playing badly, his first touch just leaves him. And that means every time the ball gets to Rooney, the attack breaks down. You have to start again. Every time the ball gets to Rooney, the attack breaks down. He has to start again. Now we brought in Mata. Like, and I've said this, and I know people might think I'm crazy. I think it's now a choice between Rooney or Van Persie for the good of the team. I don't think we can have both of them and work very well. So, literally, I want to see Mata in that 10 role, because with the players they have around them, him playing out on the wing doesn't really work for me. I want to see Mata in the number 10 role, and, well, we've given Rooney the big contract now. He is younger than Van Persie, and even though I feel Van Persie is the superior player, I'd want to see Rooney up front. But that's just me, though. That's just me. Yeah.
Okay.
And, that's it, really. Yeah, that's the best way I can articulate it. I've just got, with players sometimes, I can't explain. It's so funny. Like, I always respected Pedro as, like, he's a good player. He can finish both feet. But it wasn't until, I think, when Barca played Chelsea, was it the year that Chelsea won the Champions League?
2012.
Yeah. I think they brought on Pedro, and he took a shot, and it was so tight, and he hit the post. And I just said, this guy's a baller. Like, I didn't really like him before that. And I respect him, but I didn't really like him. But then he just took the shot. The way he did, just the way he lined himself up, the way he struck it, I said, this guy's a quality
For me,
footballer. And since then,
I realized a couple of months ago, I think we were discussing it on Twitter, I can't, if you were to ask me who you think the best centre midfielder in the world is, I can answer it in a general sense that I believe Xavi is the greatest centre midfielder of all time, right? But if you look at it in a more in-depth way, I can't.
It's hard.
I can't name you the best, because there's so many different roles in terms of
it's very, very hard.
It's too hard, because, box to box, Yaya Toure, hands down. But even then, you're like a Toure Vidal, maybe.
Yeah. Schweinsteiger, when he's on his game,
exactly.
Not bad either.
If you're looking at deep line playmakers, Pirlo's still up there.
And also, let's not forget about Diaby as well.
Pirlo is still up there.
Signal,
of course.
Yeah, and then you've got the number 10s. Oh, go on, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously the Italians, that's how they break it down into the deep playmaker, the box to box, they call the trio fair. Then you've got the number 10s, and then the fourth one, you've got the ball winner, the midfield destroyer.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's their four. Yeah, exactly. So that's their four. So you can break it down into those little ones and say how you rate them. But yeah, I think today we should be moving away from that anyway. We should I think the departmental. I think we should be moving away from that.
No, but I think the thing is, we are moving away from that, because you can't, like a guy like Busquets, he is a mix of the anchor man and the deep line playmaker. A guy like Toure, in the space of 30 minutes, can go from box to box to attack. Do you know what I mean? Like Yaya's Yaya, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think even the game is so fluid that you can't consistently play one role in all phases of the game.
You have to be a bit of an all-rounder if you want.
Because I think that relates to what Daniel said. I think last week Daniel said, what happens if you get caught with your defensive sort of midfielder the wrong side of the ball and your attacking guy is now defending, and then your team's sort of lost. So you do need the right balance of players in there.
I still feel there has to be a certain level of specialisation, because the thing with specialisation is that if they're competent at a skill, that's great. But if they're specialists at something, then the level at which they do that role for you tends to be better. So for me, it's a thing where it's the 80-20 rule for me. If I have my holding midfielder and I want him to, for this particular match, to listen, I want you to break up play, right? 80% of the time, but 20% of the time I may need you to play a little bit. Like Fernandinho literally does that 80% of the time. He's the holding midfielder, he breaks up play. But 20 minutes, there's going to be a bit of box-to-box action, he's going to get in, he's going to nick a goal, he's going to bang one in for 30 yards. And it's the same thing with a striker. 80% of the time I expect you to be, going for goal, creating goal-scoring opportunities for yourself and your teammates. But, hey, you're going to have to track this guy. You need to man Mark Busquets, Hey Rooney, 2011, or, like Welbeck exemplified, but obviously Welbeck kind of does it in reverse. He doesn't score the way he should be scoring.
Yeah, that's what you mean, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the game is multi-dimensional. When us fans, when we're comparing plays from other eras, right, it's impossible to do for many reasons, but one in particular is the game was so much more specialised. Do you really think you're getting Zinedine Zidane to man mark a holding midfielder?
No way. Yeah, but no, I don't know. What I'm saying is, the game. Don't forget, Zidane he played at Juventus in a 2. It was him and Davids, and if you watch Zidane, wait.
Correction.
Yeah, go on.
The only reason I'm correct is because when he first got to Juventus, when he got to Juventus, he actually tried to deep. That's what I'm saying.
He was playing deep, right?
It couldn't work. I thought it was Davids and Conte.
It was Davids and
Takinadi was there, I think, at that time.
Okay.
Davids Takinadi, but Zidane actually played in 2. He played in 2. You can check it out. Right? And even at Real Madrid, didn't he play in 2 at Real Madrid as well?
No.
He played wide.
Juventus, if we talk about Juventus and Real Madrid, at Juventus, when he first got there, they tried to play him in the 2. It didn't work, so they actually moved him wide left. It tends to be him as the attacking midfielder. David was like he did like the Gattuso role, but obviously in a way. Deschamps was like the deep line player, and then they play like Conte and I don't know, just any other.
Tries to get up front, and then I think it was. But no, I watched it.
Even at Madrid, sorry to cut you. Even at Madrid, it was Makelele and Beckham as the 2. It was Makelele and Beckham, Figo, right?
No, but before Beckham came, I'm talking about before. But anyway, I've seen, but basically because I've seen Zidane's game, and it's like if you see him just his natural game, even if he's playing left or whatever, he likes to go back. He's not one of those like number 10s that just stays behind the strikers. You see him go deep and collect the ball, and he kind of roams the field anyway. Yeah. I know he didn't have like a game where he was trying to win the ball and all that type of stuff, but he glided all over the pitch.
But what I mean to say is like not just Zidane. You talk about the Figos and Ronaldos. And do you know what you see at lower level football today? Okay, you're my winger. You need to do a winger's job. It's a much more rigid way of playing your player. Like a number 10 was that. It was a number 10. A number 9 was that. It was a number 9. Whilst players of today, they have to play in a more of a multi-dimensional way. And because of a slight reduction in specialisation, because they don't just have to think about scoring goals, then they may not be as good as, let's say, as Zidane was at playmaking, but their all-round game may actually be better.
So if you see a young player...
Sorry, if I can just chime in. This is why, for example, Mourinho chose Oscar over Mata. Like, he's not as creative as Mata going forward, but the defensive work that he does trumps Mata's. So for the benefit of the whole team, it makes sense to use Oscar when you've got players like Hazard who can create for you. So yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying there.
But so if you see a young player today, you see a young player coming through. You've got one player that has all the technical ability of Zidane, but he's just like what we're saying, he's just got one side of the game. Whereas you see another player who isn't as technically as gifted as the player A, but he has the Oscar, the aggressiveness in terms of the other side of the game. Who would you feel, is the better?
Honestly speaking,
yeah.
I would have to take his character into account.
Okay, let's leave. Both of them got the same character.
I'm going for the more technical capable one. If I'm being honest with you,
Yeah.
I think
I'm not saying player B isn't technically capable.
I understand what you mean. It's weird. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to philosophy as well. As a coach, as a manager, if you like a progressive, fluid, multi-dimensional squad, right? Then you're going to go for player B. But if you want your team set in a rigid way, which has its benefits, like people say, okay, everyone wants to be Guardiola, everyone wants to be Klopp, or, you want to be these progressive managers, but sometimes specialization is good.
It is. I agree. Specialization, I think, is good when you're not blessed with all of the best players, because exactly. So teams with Italy, the reason why they do so well, like I said before, is that because everybody knows their function.
Exactly.
And so it is good, but at the same time, at the top level, maybe more club football, when you're spending huge amounts of money, you should be able to get top players in each. That was my thing. I still believe specialization can be a good thing.
Yeah, in answering your question, Daniel, what I would say is it depends on the makeup of the team. So I want to have at least, let's say, my 4 furthest forward players. I want to have one guy who his job is just to attack and create.
Yeah.
So if I have one guy, the other 2 have to make up for the work he's doing.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
because
the defensive work he isn't
my
doing.
question was more, we're talking about who do you think is going to become the better player, rather than just in a team type of thing. Like I'm saying, this is talking about how we rate players. We talk about how Letalek and Sinampongo, who by the way I saw in tournaments before that, and I thought that they're being overrated. Julio was said in the dream. Even was it Sheru? Who comes it down as well. So Julio's just one of those guys that get gassed by youth talent. He just gets gassed by youth talent. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't know if you watch youth football, but are you able to see a player and then say, okay, this player is going to be better?
I think to an extent you can. Like, for instance, I was watching Chelsea was playing what's it called, that not Champions League.
Next Gen.
Yeah, the Next Gen. Thank you very much. I was watching Chelsea versus Arsenal, and Loftus, is it Cheek?
Loftus-Cheek.
He absolutely stood out from everyone. Driving that he's tall already, but you can see that this guy knows how to play football. He's
my thing is, it's very difficult to judge a player and how far you think he'll make it, and it's not as simple as just slot him in, because there's other factors that, to be honest with you, may have nothing to do with what happens on the pitch.
Of course.
You can still do that. You can still listen to interviews and pick up all of that type of stuff.
I don't know. Do you know what? At the end of the day, right, a player can have all of that, but if the team that he goes to, he plays for, doesn't play in a manner that suits him, that will affect him. Sorry?
Talent always make it. I think that usually talent. Because I've seen I follow players, so I've seen and it's happened loads of times where, the talent, obviously we'll talk about charisma. Okay. Because Quaresma is the type of player that I saw at youth level, and he was really good. At the same time, I saw Ronaldo. I used to argue with my friend, saying, "Okay, listen." We used to say who's going to be better. We play that game, and the answer was always Ronaldo because of certain things. It's because of mentality. It was because of he was faster. It's because he could play up front. He could play left wing, right wing. He used both of his feet more. And so we take all of that into look at his mentality and his character. This guy would always cry when he lost and all that type of stuff. Yeah. So that's the kind of picture you get of a player. And with charisma, you can see that, he was a trickster, but at the same time, you see with so many tricksters, just because they're a trickster doesn't mean they're going to make it far, doesn't mean they're going to last and all of that type of stuff.
Okay, so let's stick with Daniel's game. In terms of judging who's going to be the better player. So, I mean, much debate has been made on Twitter, if everyone who's listening follows on Twitter. I mean, the Jack Wilshere debate is it's so jarring.
Please, let me loose.
So the latest one to be added to the shortlist of Cleverley, Henderson, etc., is Ross Barkley.
Yeah.
So, who is going to be the better player, Jack Wilshere or Ross Barkley?
Ross Barkley, if he stays at Everton.
Who said that?
Ellis. Why? He's got more to his game. Jack Wilshere is a brilliant footballer, no doubt.
Exactly. Sorry to talk over. What do you think? What more?
When I say more, I mean, like, for instance, there's an argument that's always put to me about Jack Wilshere about he takes the game by the scruff of the neck. and I'm yet to see that. Ross Barkley done that against Newcastle. Picked up the ball halfway line. He thought, listen, no one's popping things off. I'm going to do it myself. Picked up from the halfway line, and he's gone, and he scored a goal.
But
You know what I think when people are judging players on Twitter and stuff like that, you have to look at, we were talking about roles before, right? You have to look at roles. They're saying he's got more because you wouldn't see Wilshere do what Barkley does because that's not in his game. But that doesn't mean necessarily that Barkley is a better footballer than Wilshere. It just means Barkley has those particular skills. If we'd asked Barkley to drop deep and perhaps dictate and spray the passes around, like, let's say Wilshere, not that Wilshere's so good at it, but let's just say do what Wilshere does, would he be able to do that? Not necessarily. So when I try to judge players like that, I look at whoever the best in the world is at their position and look at the skills they have and how far away they are from that level. And now, I would go with Wilshere, but Barkley has got age on him, so let's see.
He's got like a year.
No, it's only a year. People think
Wilshere's
Wilshere's...
23.
No?
No, he's a 21.
Wilshere's 22. Wilshere's
He's
22. Barkley's 20, I think. But
Okay.
I'm a big fan of both. I watched Wilshere come through when he was 16. And you're saying that Wilshere with the deep playing playmaking.
Yeah.
Don't forget, he was playing attacking positions for most of his career when he was coming up by Arsenal.
Yeah,
so,
he was played in the
fair-
CAM
No,
or
but the
left
thing
wing.
is, it's not fair in the sense that he's not been an attacking player like someone that you play just in the line behind the striker. Literally, I feel comfortable in saying this. Literally for about 5 years.
Yeah, it's true.
5 years. He's been nowhere near that player.
But
if you look at no. Like, sorry, let me finish.
Yeah.
When he first came through, I remember when he made his competitive debut, he was doing it from the right wing, right and left wing, and behind the striker at times, right? But if you looked at his game then, he had much more agility. In terms of acceleration, he had much more. And those skills are absolutely essential for the type of role that we're talking about when it comes to attacking midfielder. Those are skills that Barkley has.
Yeah.
Now, his skill set has moved.
5 years ago he was 17, remember?
I know. But but even still, it's the same thing that happened with Ilkay Gundogan. It's the same thing that happened with Verratti. Even Pirlo. Pirlo is actually the best example. When Pirlo came through, he was a number 10.
Yeah, he was.
His skill set, he was fast. You'll never think of Pirlo as fast now. He was fast. When he was at Brescia. Before, he was quick at Inter. I think he was at Inter, yeah.
He was loaned to Brescia from Inter.
Yeah. He was a mildly quick player. But his skill set, subtly, every year moved from that to a player who's a little bit deeper. And that's my thing. It's a thing where if I'm going to compare Wilshere to players of his like, it's going to be the Verrattis. It's going to be to the Thiagos. I'm not to say they're as good.
My thing with the Wilshere thing is, and it's like with Yaya Toure. Don't forget you're saying that he hasn't played for 5 years. I think he was at Bolton. He played attacking midfield at Bolton as well, like in Central. But with Yaya Toure, he was at Barcelona. I saw him at Monaco, and if you watch Yaya at Monaco, the only way I can describe him was a mixture between Vieira and Thierry Henry.
Where did he play?
Huh? Central midfield, but he would take on the whole team and run and then finish it like Thierry Henry.
But then essentially, Yaya Toure was doing what he's doing now.
Well, let me finish what I was going on. So this was at Monaco. Then he went to Barcelona, and obviously Barcelona don't play that kind of fast football. Everything has to be slowed down, and so they put him in that role. And obviously he's a capable player, and so he can switch between that. We saw Wilshere, being an attacking player, asked to play a deep line, and he can switch between that. We've seen Cesc when he first came to Arsenal. He was playing that deep role. Then he played the attacking midfield role. Even if you look at people like Iniesta at Barcelona, he would play the deep playmaker role before when he was first.
Let me interrupt you for a second.
Yeah.
That's why I love the fact you brought up Cesc, because there's no Barcelona fan or anyone who watches Barcelona at any great length that would want Cesc playing a deep role now.
No, but I'm just saying.
There's not to say that players can't move across from these kind of roles, whether it be a winger that turns to a striker and it goes back to a winger, or a defender that, so on and so on. But there are some players that once they get used to, or once they get accustomed to a certain role, their whole skill set becomes specialised to that role. Cesc Fabregas.
Pair of staying there, yeah.
If Cesc Fabregas should, like what he was doing when he had the number 15 on his back, he can't do it no more. Because there's a certain directness to his game.
We are talking about who is the best. We're talking about rating players, and we're talking about And the reason why I brought that into it, all these players, that midfielders that play the different roles in midfield, is that I think it's completely fine to compare the Barkley and Wilshere. I've seen Wilshere in attacking mode.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've even seen Barkley. I've even seen Barkley when he was coming up. I mean, he's doing this now more attacking, but Barkley was in a central midfield role when I was watching him.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. That's fine. But okay, if you want to compare him off Wilshere off his secondary role, let's put it that way, right?
Not secondary role.
I would love to see.
Compared as players, just as midfielders.
No, as players, but that's, for me, it's unfair because if you're comparing a player that plays as an attacking midfielder, right? Not even an advanced playmaker, he's an actual attacking midfielder, and then a player who is a deep line playmaker / box to box. The demands and the challenges of each roles are different. So why, if I'm going to compare Wilshere to Barkley's main role, right? So I'm comparing Wilshere's secondary role to Barkley's main role.
Yeah.
I would have to see Barkley do what Wilshere has to do at that same level for me to make that a fair comparison.
That's fair.
I mean,
that's fair. However, that's fair. But for me, because when you see them coming up and you see them so much, you can see it. So you can see Barkley, what he offers, just in terms of a path from his attacking. You can see what Wilshere offers. I think that we are smart enough, we are discerning enough to be able to rate these players as just generally and say who's the better midfielder. Because I don't like all of this kind of segmentation where you can't compare him.
Okay,
you can't compare him.
So Daniel, you feel right now that Barkley's better than Wilshere?
Did I say that?
No, I'm asking you.
Okay, but that's a leading question. Like you get.
Answer the question, Daniel, man.
It's not.
But that's what I want to get from you. That's what I'm asking. Who you think is the better player right now?
And that's. I started the conversation saying I've watched both come through. Wilshere had a bit more of the special touch coming through. However, the style of football that I want right now, I'd want Barkley over Wilshere. Not to say that he's better. I'd want Barkley.
My thing is going back to your point, and I guess I'm just going to disagree with you. Is I think that it's absolutely necessary to judge a players along with the role for their team, purely because at the end of the day, when we're judging players, we're looking at their performance on the pitch on a competitive game, and if his role has a particular skill set that the skills may overlap, but ultimately is different to player B's role, then it's unfair for me to say, okay, do you know what, he's better because he does that role better than you do a totally different role. It makes absolutely no sense. The argument would make more sense if they played alternating roles in equal measure, because then you have an equal amount of data to base opinion.
See,
I disagree with you there.
Okay, but what I just want to say is, okay, fine. You want to say that one's playing attacking midfield, one's playing, and a good example of it is Wilshere, because at this point, Wilshere at Arsenal was playing an attacking role. England was playing Denmark. Ericsson at that time, obviously, Ericsson's always played attacking midfield. Capello was the England manager at the time. Wilshere had been shining. The whole country loved Wilshere at this point. Capello asked him to play a deeper role. Now, Ericsson shone in that match, and then everybody said, we are overrating Wilshere because all he was doing was a deep line role. And so what you do is you have naive people that can't really discern and see that, okay, this guy's actually doing it, because a lot of people in England don't rate the deep line playmaker on what they do. So you have people that are naive saying, oh my God, look how amazing Ericsson was running forward, and look how bad Wilshere was in comparison. We had people
just pass the sideways sort of thing.
But I just think it's a discerning thing. You can see, maybe it's just me, but you can see what they can offer. And with Wilshere, I think that I don't like the way he's getting treated. I'm a big fan of Wilshere. We've seen with Ramsey as well. We've seen and we're talking about rating players. I want to talk about Ramsey and did your opinion change of him? Did you think after his injury?
The lowest point of my opinion of him was I thought he'd be a great squad player. That was at the lowest.
So why do you think that you kind of, do you think have you revised your opinion on him?
Only because, and it wasn't just to the form, because to be honest with you, he'd been playing like that from last season.
From January,
he's literally been playing like that for well over a year. I didn't see Wenger giving him the platform to build his confidence the way he has. I felt that if Ramsey, because when I made the initial opinion that, okay, he'd make a great squad player, is because I felt, okay, when Wilshere's back and firing, Ramsey's not going to see the pitch as much as he wants to, and that's going to affect his development. Because Wenger obviously gave him a platform to continue building. You see it, and it's just like, wow, okay, he's great.
Okay, but so before you go in quickly, I just want to say, like, we can take environments, like, managers aren't going to play players. There's going to be things happening. There's going to be injuries. But when I'm just talking about rating players, I'm just talking about what you see in them. Obviously, confidence and form and all that type of stuff. But I'm just talking about ability. You thought Ramsey was a certain level, then he was another level. Did you need to reassess, like, your ratings of him?
Not of his ability, no. Of his development, yes, but not of his ability.
But so this development and ability thing, it's like when you see a player, and you just try and say, if he doesn't make it, you're saying, okay, it's the manager's fault. He didn't develop. He didn't get a platform. Or you
if he doesn't make it, like again, it's a case by case thing. You have to kind of look into context. There's certain players that are better than. Listen, we talk about Zidane as being top 3 selected. I remember a time where there was a genuine argument to say Rivaldo was better than Zidane, and we don't talk about Rivaldo with the same reverence. You can even say like number 9 Ronaldo. Ronaldo was better than Zidane if he wasn't injured. So it's a case of. And that's the high kind of level comparisons we're making, right? That we can't not take into account certain incidents happening that stunt development. That has nothing to do with their ability.
The only reason why I asked is... Okay, sorry.
I'll chip in one, yeah? Is it because I'm a Liverpool fan? We had a player called David Thompson. He was a central midfielder.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, you're never gonna have him, trust me. And he was given his debut way before Steven Gerrard. We actually thought at Liverpool that David Thompson was going to go further in the game than Steven Gerrard. It didn't work out like that. I feel that in football's a real life thing. You have a lot of thesis in it. For instance, someone like Ravel Morrison, who has all the talent in the world, has his attitude in this. Like, his attitude is not to the level of someone else. If you're gonna be a professional footballer, yeah, like Kane Kane, you're a coach, but if you're going to be a professional footballer, mentally, you need to be on point.
The best thing I've ever read, and I encourage anyone who listens to this, and obviously you guys on the panel, I encourage you to read this. It's a study by Carol Dweck. You don't have to read the whole study because, it's going to be a science thing. It's going to be about 180 pages long. But essentially, talent isn't just this innate thing that you have. At the end of the day, and this is why when it comes to praising players, I have to praise performance. I have to praise evidence of your talent before I praise the talent. Because the natural instinct to tell someone, okay, boom, you're talented, they may still work hard, they may still perform, but there's no incentive to continue to develop that talent. But if you praise hard work, if you actually praise the evidence of that talent, then it's like, okay, if I work hard, then I'm going to get better or I'm going to keep on improving. This is the fuel I need. And that's the thing, like we're talking about mental character and all these different factors. Ramsey has an incredible work ethic. That's the only to be honest with you, that's the only reason Ramsey is above, for now, Wilshere's level. That's the only reason.
So just to quickly ask you a question, you said at your lowest point you saw him as a great squad player. How do you see him now? Would you see his ceiling as? I hate that word, but...
Ceiling?
Yeah.
Obviously, I think he'll never be the best midfielder in the world. It's weird. I see it's tier 2. And obviously my tier 1 is like legend status. Like you're going to be
yeah.
When it's tier 2 is still an incredibly high level.
Yeah.
I think he can be the best centre midfielder in the country. I can think he can, be in a UEFA Champions League team of the year, and if Wales are ever in an international tournament, I think he has that ability.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have that kind of transcendent best midfielder of his generation level. I think Wilshere has that.
Okay. Wilshere has that, yeah?
I think it's whether he takes it on, which, to be honest with you, I've not seen evidence of that. I don't get the impression that Wilshere is that guy that is going to remain an hour after training is finished, or he's going to, forget about media, social media, and going out. I don't think he has that discipline. So I think that's the only thing stopping from Wilshere from attaining that level.
Well, when we're talking about Ravel and talking about his attitude of the game, a lot of this was levelled at Sturridge. And a lot of people tell me, he's not going to get anywhere because of his attitude and he's a bad boy and all this type of stuff. To be fair, the actual situations, if you listen to Sturridge ever since he was a 14-year-old, he's always had like, because his dad didn't make it in football, even though his uncles did, his dad didn't make it, and his dad is the reason why he's so good now. He's just been training him. He's saying, listen, you can't just be better than me, you can't just be better than your uncles, you've got to be the world's best. So he's always had this like really, really driven attitude. But the thing is, with a lot of look at Balotelli.
Yeah.
He like, you know, he doesn't train hard, he doesn't do all of this type of stuff, but he's still got to a top level. So I don't think you can just say, right.
Yeah, but that's just, I think that's just evidence of how good Balotelli can be.
Yeah, I agree.
I know, but at the same time, that's what I'm saying. Ravel again is a special talent, and he can still be top level even without that.
But
he's not. Well, he's playing championship right now.
It doesn't matter.
Balotelli is playing for 8.
Barkley was playing. It doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter. People will find themselves in. Bale was on the bench at how old? At 20 for Tottenham for ages. It doesn't matter that he's playing that right now. That's just circumstance.
Definitely, but what I'm saying to you, right now, is that mentally, I don't think Ravel Morrison actually wants it. He doesn't want it. If he wanted it, bruv, he would be telling Sam Allardyce, bruv, you've got to be playing me.
That makes Sam Allardyce play him. Don't forget, this is Sam Allardyce was at Blackburn, and what's the manager that took over Sam Allardyce at Blackburn, the bald guy, Steve Keane. Steve Keane. Who saw the Steve Keane video when he was saying that he was begging Sam Allardyce to play Phil Jones, but he wouldn't play him? Hoyler and all that type of stuff. All of these people act like just because you're good, you're going to play. Sturridge was at Chelsea. Scoring loads of goals, but they wouldn't play him because they was playing Tories. It's not just that, and like Ravel's been thrown down.
The thing about Ravel Morrison, right, is I think at the end of the day, if we're going to use the example of how people say Sturridge is this guy, so at the end of the day, most people don't know how to judge a character, let alone talent. Okay, so it's very hard to use that principle and then apply it to how we judge other players like Morrison. From my opinion, for Morrison, I think he's a supremely talented player. The most I've heard about him is not even been so much about his behaviour. It's been more about the people around him and the distractions. And that's kind of the reason why we've seen more of him is because obviously he's gone from Manchester to London, where he doesn't have those kind of characters as much as he did back up there. Now, I don't think most fans, unless you know him, are well equipped enough to say, do you know what, he's got poor professionalism, or I don't think we're in that position really. So that's the thing about Morrison.
And this particular situation of him going down to the championship, it wasn't actually particularly a behaviour thing. It's something to do with Allardyce and Nolan trying to get him to switch agents, and he's saying no, and they're just not having it, and sort of like he said, she said kind of thing. So,
and it's not just that, and it's not just that either. Even Sam Allardyce, even he said that he admitted last season that do I play a young player and take that chance when he was fighting to come up, or do I just stick with it? And you know, Bolton, look at his coaches and what's his name. Sam Allardyce loves experience.
Yeah, it's true.
So
Sam Allardyce he's pragmatic. He's gonna go think about it. Sam Allardyce doesn't stay at clubs. He'll move. Yeah. So why am I investing myself in this young player when I know I'm leaving in like a year?
That's one thing what I definitely want to bring up. We're talking about rating players. This is the problem that I see so many times when people say he's on loan in the Championship. How can he be good? Or that's what people say in Sturridge. Is he a good striker? Kalou starts ahead of him. How can he be good? What you're doing is not your own opinion. You're taking that coach's opinion, which is not necessarily right, and you're forming off of that. It's transitive logic and it's bullshit.
Yeah, but you know what? People don't have the time to study players properly or take a good look. So it's kind of like flip. It's like you're just flipping through a magazine just to kill time. So 90% of what you say about Ravel Morrison is things other people have told you or things you've read in the newspaper. Same, it's just what everything is force fed to you. It's just people who actually take their time, watch his game.
It's wrong though, because
that's just how it is.
When we talk about the England team and all that type of stuff, that's what happens. We read all of these negative reinforcements that was there about Sturridge. Oh, he's too greedy. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. Harry goes as a striker to the Euros instead. You've got this person who
I ain't gonna lie, then you've been carrying this Daniel Sturridge chip on your shoulder for a while.
Yeah, and it's because it's people like Val. It's people like Val at Spurs. It's just I see it all the time. And it's like Ravel again. We see the same thing again.
That's crazy. So hold on. I love the fact that you bought Bale. Because like, okay, all you guys put him on Twitter, innit? Bale, you got guys you don't rate him as players, but then there's the guys we overrate. So if we're talking about rating players, because we're talking about guys who get underrated, let's talk about guys who get overrated and why. So for me, if we're going to talk about Bale, we're looking at a guy that, to be honest with you, there was genuine arguments to say he was a top 3 player in the world. There's guys who actually saying he's the 3rd best player in the world.
I was personally told he was better than Suarez, innit? So I don't know. But that just put me off. For me personally, obviously, I think Bale is the most overrated footballer we have.
Like, without a shadow of that, he's
coming out of Britain. And because it was like, for instance, let's look at what's it called? The El Clasico.
Jesus.
He gets given a ball.
Clasico, can we have a nice focus segment on the Clasico and this that would spell?
And like, he gets the ball, and he's trying to do what he does in England, thinking like, "Wow, these men are gonna get out of my way." And like, defenders are looking at him like, "Really, are you gonna actually do that? Are you just gonna run into him?"
Face Jordi Alba.
Yeah, and he's thinking like, "Wow, like, what's this guy doing? What's he on?"
So how do you rate Bale then?
How dare you?
I think Bale is potentially world class. I think there's nothing stopping him from becoming a top 5 player in the world. He's just not that guy yet. It's just that easy. Before we even have the audacity to compare him to Messi and Ronaldo,
that made me sick.
Exactly. This guy, listen, talk to Götze first, talk to Royce first, talk to Müller, talk to Hazard. Go talk to them guys first, because they've done what you've done and more. Hazard has been the talisman of 2 title-winning teams in France. Yes, it's France, but it's still 2 title-winning teams. It's not an accident. And he's had exceptional performances for Chelsea in bits and bobs. Like, he's not been consistent over the whole season. He's been good, but he's had awesome. I'm talking more towards the last season, not this season. This season, I think he's been fantastic. Talk to Hazard. Talk to Royce, who didn't people not see what he was doing at Gladbach before this last season at Dortmund?
I watched that. That's right.
Even I'm happy you said Müller. I think Müller's immensely underrated.
That's another thing. It's just like, we've got all of these like under 25, under 23 guys that we're talking about. These are his contemporaries. And then before you even get to that point, okay, talking about best players in the world, right? Jesus Christ. Okay, we've got Zlatan Ibrahimovic, we've got Messi, we've got Ronaldo, we've got Iniesta, we've got Xavi, we've got this Van Persie, we've got
Diaby.
There's still so many guys. There's literally 15 players off the top of my head I can think of. So the reason I find that we overrate players is because we are very short-sighted. We literally look at what they've done in the last 6 to 9 months. Not forgetting that at the end of the day, for me, when I rate a player, you have to have done that for multiple seasons.
Yeah.
To that level. If we're going to compare you to a world-class level, Bale only had world-class performances from, I would say,
January to May.
Or if you want to be generous, December from the year prior. That's the only period where he's playing at world-class level.
Wasn't he doing it 2011, 2012? I remember the back end of the season. I just remember all of a sudden Bale just started going crazy. I remember it was the season where Spurs finished, I think they got 4th. Everyone was saying that Spurs can't make it because they've got Arsenal to play, they've got Chelsea to play, what's the name? And then Bale basically carried them to 4th. And he's been doing it for quite a long time. I've never actually said Bale was even in Messi's and Cristiano Ronaldo's level.
For me, the fact that guys like Di Maria get ignored, and then that's why I love the Clasico. The Clasico just improved so many different points, right?
Not even necessarily Clasico, just against the best teams, because these players have a tendency to just stomp over the kind of okay-ish, poorish teams. But when it gets to that higher level where you less space and you have to think quicker and you have to be a bit more tactical, it always shows, man. It always shows.
And that's the difference. It's like, well, hold on, you have Frank Ribery, who should have won the Ballon d'Or, and you want to put Bale above him?
Yes.
Like what?
Well, I would ask you guys as well, like, let's say we're talking about the best players in the world. Would you put the best defender in the world in your list before you put, I don't know, the 5th best striker, even though he might be an actual better footballer than him?
The only reason I would, and it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the show, is because if we're talking about as an individual, attacking players have to be more individualistic.
Okay.
So if we're going by individual, ratings, then you're going to lean towards a player that who needs to play by himself more. But I would have no qualms about putting Thiago Silva in the top 10. No qualms.
How about you, Daniel and Ellis?
Yeah,
Should I go first?
Yeah, I follow with what Kane said. Basically, like, when you're picking out these individual stuff, you're going to look at what he's doing by himself, how he's helping his team, how is he, like, he's affecting the result for his team. Yeah. Nobody really looks, before we look at, oh, he kept a clean sheet, we're going to look at, oh, right, you scored 3 goals.
Yeah.
So you're gonna look for, like, the top 5 are usually attacking midfielders or your strikers. So you're gonna tend to, like, put them players before a defender.
Yeah. How about you, Daniel?
Just in this current environment, when you've got Messi scoring 50 goals a season, Cristiano scoring 50 goals a season, there's no place for defenders. With one-man team players, you've got Suarez being a one-man team, Bale being a one-man team. They're just, obviously, when we see it in the transfer market, I know we talk about Mangala for 40 million, but these are the players, the real difference makers. So,
What I will say though, is that I think that, yes, you have to kind of lean towards more individualistic players, but at the same time, not individualistic to the extent that it damages the group. And I say that is because, for me, Messi hasn't been the best Messi season as it was 2010-2011, because it was that perfect balance between talisman, but he let David Villa and Pedro and the supporting cast shine. Even the year we scored 94 goals, he played in such an individualistic manner.
He kind of stopped leaning away from playing for the team. I don't know. He's played so much football. I don't know if I definitely get your point. Yeah.
Because you saw literally the pressing dropped. The passing dropped. And if you actually even just watch the match, because I was more from statistics there, but if you actually watch a match and you actually see him, okay, is he making himself available for the ball the way he should be? Is he passing when he should be passing? And that's the reason why Ibrahimovic, we've never rated him. Like, Ibrahimovic, technically speaking, is just as good as a Messi. He's technically better than Ronaldo, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And he's on the same level as Messi, surely from a technical point of view. However, it's the other kind of face of the game that's kind of maybe stopped him from getting to that Champions League or getting that best player in the world. I think it's only until he moves to PSG where he's become more of a team player, and you're seeing it. You're seeing it, the ridiculous amount of goals and assists he's getting. And I think that's a balance that I think we have to start taking more into account. That's the reason why I felt Ribery should have won it, because he may not have the assists, and he actually had more assists than Messi and Ronaldo. He may not have the goals, but his overall contribution was so much better than both of them.
Definitely.
So much better.
Defended more when they had to sit a bit deeper and make creative passes. He did that more than both of them. But we have to realise again is people will just read the stats. Messi 50 goals, Ronaldo 50 goals, Ribery 20. Yeah, well, they're clearly obviously better than him, aren't they? So that's just how it goes, man.
And also, I think there's, like, more this modern day and age. Like we said, I don't think people have time to watch football. And so when the news, Sky Sports News come on, Messi just scored 4 goals, and you're not really going to look into it as in, obviously scoring 4 goals at the top level is incredible. Don't get me wrong. But, like, for me personally, I'm with Kane. I personally thought Ribery should have won it just because of his contribution for Bayern Munich.
So do you think that's kills about the Ribery thing, right? The main argument is he's playing Bayern Munich. Yeah. There's no star. Everyone's a star. And I'm like, wait, hold on. When Messi was winning in a row, he's got like Hall of Famers behind it. You talk about Ronaldo, the most expensively assembled team of all time. Like, because there was a point where the Real Madrid scored better than Barcelona's. Like, man for man, they were better than Barcelona.
So was like Ronaldo with that, and Higuain was scoring 20 goals apiece through two.
You got Ozil, you got Xavi Alonso, you got you're not going to become the top player in the world and not have a stupid amount of talent behind you. Like, there's no way it's going to happen. Yeah. So it's just like, it's like I said, I think it's lazy. For me, it's lazy kind of evaluation, and that's my point when I say it sounds elitist, which is something that you want to avoid, because at the end of the day, football's for everyone. Everyone should feel like they have a stake in it, whether you're a casual fan or whether you're a professional in the game. It's for everyone. But I still think that ultimately, like anything, if someone studies the game better and for longer, right, their opinion are more informed. An informed opinion shouldn't be on the same level as an uninformed opinion. But it's very difficult for people to kind of accept that.
Okay, let me ask you about informed opinions, because we see it all the time where all of these coaches that are supposed to have informed opinion obviously make wrecks, because we see
I agree with you 100% on that, yeah.
And I just wanted to throw in there as well, we're talking about rating players, but we're talking about when we see Suarez at Ajax, and he's scoring shitloads of goals, or we see Neymar in Brazil and he's doing all that type of stuff. Are you all of the opinion that they can't be considered as a top player until they come into Europe and do it in the Champions League?
I think when me personally, I'm going to speak for myself. If you were to ask me, bang on, what do you think a top player is? It's a mixture of ability and performance. It's an equal measure. I'm looking at his ability and I'm looking at his performance, and I have to take into account his performance against the difficulty of competition. Now, if we're talking about ability, now to other people, you may ask him, okay, is he a top player? They're talking purely on ability. And then there's other players, and this is the other guys, and I know, Daniel, this is the guys that you kind of don't like. They're talking about performance, the guys that, that we know, the guys that have played Champions League and World Cups and all that. And, we look at that first before we look at the actual ability. Me personally speaking, I have to look at it all, because you know what? I've seen too many equally talented players fail. And some of it has been out of their own doing, and some of them has not been out of their own doing. And I can't call them top players, even though I've known they've had the ability to be better than the Zidanes, to be better than the Ronaldos, to be better. Messi, Messi for me is, he will go down as the greatest of all time. So I'm not going to say Messi, but they've had just as much talent as all these guys. However,
but when I do,
that's what. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, when I do talk about rating and ability, the mental and how you feel like they're going to progress comes into it as well. Obviously, with me, I've got a thing where I don't give a shit how everybody else rates them. I know what they do and all that type of stuff. But what I'm just talking about in terms of you're seeing Suarez because obviously we saw Kesman in Holland scoring loads of goals. We saw Afonso Alves. We saw all of. So with Suarez, a lot of people were thinking, is it another?
With Suarez, me personally speaking, I made up my mind with him in 2010.
And why was that?
Uruguay, purely.
So just based on, so you couldn't trust the Eredivisie type thing. Did you watch him?
I could trust him to an extent. Like even Kesman, I thought Kesman was great, but it's a thing where at the end of the day, we're looking at goals. Like the thing that made me pay attention to Suarez is the 50 goals in one season. That's what made me pay attention. With Kesman, he was banging in 30 every season, right?
Sick.
But then when I was actually watching him, you see Suarez as a totally different element to his game, more to his game than a Kesman. So for me, it was having to look at the statistics, the pre-opinion that I get from articles, blogs, videos, and then see them for myself. And like I said, for me, World Cup 2010 is when I made up my mind on Suarez. Like, hey, this guy, he's the real deal.
But the question I was just asking is that can you rate players? Let's say we've got another player in Holland right now. He's sick. Okay, he's not a Kesman who's just scoring goals. He's got all around ability.
Yeah.
Can you? And then you've got someone in England who is also he's not doing as well as the player in Holland. Would you just go for your we've seen him do it in England, or will you say, because obviously that's what Chelsea did with Torres. At that time, Suarez is available. They saw Torres in England.
I'm going for the foreigner because I just think like there's more, the fact that he's better and there's a possibility that he can adapt in England. There's a possibility, whilst with the Torres, right, quote unquote Torres, you're not giving me the output that I want. So that's me personally speaking. I see Mariah, I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah, for me, I definitely have to take into account the quality of your position, because this is how I feel you make the progress from like a up-and-coming star to a superstar. Let's say you're a young player, you come in, you show flashes of ability, then you start showing it consistently. That's week in, week out, you're churning out the consistent performances. Then, to get to the superstar level, you start influencing the biggest matches. So, I imagine if we saw Barkley playing in Holland in the Eredivisie, he would be even more impressive than he is now, and that's just because the players around him aren't up to the standard. Do you understand? So I need to see you play among those better players. Like somebody made a comment about people only starting to really, really rate Modric now he's at Real Madrid. Like they didn't rate him as highly when he was at Tottenham. Well, of course they didn't rate him as highly as when he was at Tottenham. At Real Madrid, he's playing with the creme de la creme, and he's shining. At Tottenham, he's playing with a lower level of player, and it's just not the same for me personally.
I don't know. I can't agree with that purpose of the school.
Okay, so go on. Yeah, I want to ask you what you thought. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, because I mean, if you are in charge of a club, and you need to be able to be discerning. You can't say, okay, go and play Real Madrid until I make up my mind on how good you are.
Oh, no.
You need to be able to, and that's what we're talking about, rating players. I'm asking you, can you tell how good a player is? Do you need a specific environment to do it, or are you discerning enough to be able to say, yo, okay, I can see him playing.
Okay, yes, I can do that. I'll tell you now, this might be unpopular, I don't rate Zaha, and that's my,
I'm with you 100%.
I don't rate him at all.
I don't think many people.
No. I think he's going to be good. I think he can be a great Premiership winger.
I don't know about that. He's got great physical attributes, but
for me, I'm with Mickey Kane. I think that I'm not saying that he's like the best player I've ever seen, but I think that he can make a difference for teams.
I think with better coaching, if you had a better coach, it will definitely make a difference.
He can make a difference.
Okay, guys, let's move on to some listeners' questions because we are really pressed for time right now. All right. I've got a few that
I've got a couple of stories. Yeah.
Let me just ask one. Because I've been putting people off for weeks and it's unfair. I need to get them. So I've got one from a gentleman called Marco Rubes, who I'm looking to get on the podcast quite soon. He's a Palace fan. He wants to know you guys' opinions on who is going to go down this year.
I was about to say something that might get me sacked, so you don't need to say anything.
I would say who I see going down: Cardiff, Fulham, and West Brom. That's who I see going down.
West Brom, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the same as Mario.
Okay.
Cardiff, Fulham, West Brom.
Okay, let me think very carefully. The bills are going to pay next month. I say West Brom, Cardiff, and Sunderland.
I'll pass on it. I don't even know.
Nah, Dad, you can't pass, man. No pass.
I seriously don't know, but I don't even know what the table's saying. But
Daniel was really bad at predicting anyway, as we'll see about this last week's prediction results.
Cardiff, West Brom, and Palace.
Palace, yeah? Okay, cool. I've got a question, and it's kind of linked to what we were discussing earlier. Order these players, so in terms of from the best player to the worst. Bale, Robben, and Ribéry, and that's Leroy AFC.
Bale, Robben, and Ribéry.
Ribéry,
Robben, and Bale.
In that order.
Ribéry, Robben, Bale.
That's your order, yeah?
Yeah, that's my order.
And what's your order, Daniel?
Robben, Ribéry, Robben, Bale, Ribéry.
And what's your order, Ellis?
I'm going for Ribéry, Robben, Bale.
Yeah, and I would go Robben, Ribéry, Bale. Yeah.
Wait, did Kane give his?
Yeah, he did.
Come on.
Ribéry, Robben, Bale. I don't think you ain't got that much love for Bale at the moment. So,
like I've said, I love Bale.
Explain yourself. I agree. I'm only kidding with you, but I get where you're coming from.
Okay, I've got another one from an American listener of ours. He runs a podcast called La Sports No Stress, a sports website. So check that out. From France, Paul. He asks, a lot of criticism about Wenger and saying that he should go. Who should replace him if that's the case? I mean, we're talking about if he leaves at the end of the season, who should replace him?
Shoot.
Can I go first, Ellis? Basically, I was reading an article by Rory Smith yesterday on ESPN, and he was talking about how Alex Ferguson tried to get David Moyes. They play whatever not identical football, but similar football to whatever. So I was reading an article and I was thinking, you wouldn't want a manager who plays the same type of football because it might go downhill. So I think Arsenal should get Pochettino. Okay. He plays good football. but he's also good at getting the best out of the youngsters. Arsenal have a kind of a young squad, but with the type of football Pochettino plays, he plays football similar to Jurgen Klopp, where it's very aggressive on the front foot, trying to get the ball back as quick as possible and breaking on the counter. And I think Arsenal, that Invincible, was similar to that. Please correct me if I'm lying.
So a nice mixture of technique and power and pace.
Yeah, technique and power and pace, and I think Pochettino can bring that to Arsenal. So that would be my shout if I was an Arsenal fan.
Okay, what about you, Morel?
Me personally, my opinion of managers have changed because I did think Moyes would do a solid job. Not spectacular, not spectacular, but he would be a solid. Yeah, he would be a solid guy. What I like to see now is a man who has his ideals and he tries to impose them on his team. Like you guys were talking about Manuel just a couple of weeks ago. Like Rodgers has how he likes to play. He had his players set up in that way, and he's getting the best out of I don't even think they're that good of a team, to be honest with you. But I just think it's very good managed. There's quite a few of your players I don't particularly rate, but you're second, so you guys are cool, right? So if it was me, I would want a young manager who can kind of bring in energy, enthusiasm. I like Martinez, funnily enough.
Leroy would be very happy.
I think he manages Lyon. What's his name?
Remy Gard.
I like him as well.
Wenger likes Remy Gard as well.
I've watched him a couple of times, so that would be my definitely a young manager with ideals that he would instill on the team. That's what I'd want to see.
Daniel?
If I was an Arsenal fan.
I think just because we were talking about Reus at Borussia Mönchengladbach, and at that time the football they were playing was amazing, and I read up about this guy Lucien Favre. And and his coaching, and he, like we were saying, people that want to implement his style, and obviously big fan of the Invincibles, and he likes to set up that lightning fast football. So just for my own thing, I'd like to see that back at Arsenal. Obviously he loves the young players as well, so I think Lucien Favre would be a good experiment at Arsenal.
Okay.
Can I say Pep Guardiola? Nah.
Well, if they don't win they have won the league, haven't they?
Okay, do you know what, honestly speaking, my view on coaches is not as comprehensive as players right now. Off the top of my head, like Martinez, Pochettino, what's his name? Rudy Garcia?
Oh yeah.
Roma, yeah?
Yeah, Rudy Garcia as well. Like for me, the coach would have to be, I don't need a big name. He has to be progressive. He needs to have a certain intensity. But the two main things is something that I've not seen at Arsenal for years is great man management skills and very, very astute tactical knowledge.
Okay.
That's the main thing. That's the only thing I need from a coach. So yeah.
We'll get one more listener's question in because time is running low. So has anyone got a really good one?
Do you want to go, guys? I think I've got a couple.
I've got one, but it's an alright question. But if you've got a good one, you can shoot with it, man.
Hold on. Okay. I've got who do we think are the best teams that implement a 4-4-2, or let's just say a two striker formation, and a 4-3-3. So that can be 4-2-3-1 or whatever.
Okay, the best teams that play with two strikers and the best teams that play 4-3-3.
What is that right now, or the best?
Yeah, right now.
Okay, give me a second to think.
Obviously Liverpool.
Obviously.
It's because the strikers are good. I'm not sure if it's like the setup, but obviously the strikers are amazing.
Yeah, but we've got playing a 4-3-1-2.
But as a team, I don't think Liverpool are that great.
I don't either.
We've won 7 games in a row.
Oh, whoa, what? No way.
My thing is, I don't know whether you're just a great Newcastle team of the 90s.
What?
Even if we are, I don't mind. But 7 games in a row, you have to say.
Don't get me wrong. You're a team in great form, but my thing is, you can't take. Yeah, because at the end of the day, will you do that with Champions League football? And
with 4 new players, we probably will.
Really?
But then that's a new team, though, Ellis. That's a new team. We're talking about this team.
I don't particularly like Coutinho either, to be honest with you.
My thing is, the team that does that, it shouldn't even be a question, is Atletico Madrid. That's not even an argument, really.
Yeah.
Atletico Madrid will move to Liverpool, guaranteed.
I don't know, man.
Don't know? Okay.
On the level, I don't know, because obviously, we haven't had a consistent back four. I've got a new goalkeeper.
Yeah. That's fair.
Someone's rustling, one sec. Someone's rustling. Mario,
Yeah.
it's you, mate.
What's happening?
You're rustling.
Sorry, mate. I like the way Juve play.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Juve. I think.
I like the way.
Yeah.
Who was that question by the way?
Cell.
Oh, Salom, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way Juve play. They've got a good they've got another good coach as well, Conte.
Okay. I wouldn't want my Arsenal. I'm not a fan of his philosophy.
I like Roma. Oh, sorry. I like Roma. I like the way Roma play. They play very good football.
How do they line up?
Roma 4-3-3.
Yeah, 4-3-3.
So they got they play Florenzi and Jovini out wide, Totti.
And then it's De Rossi, Strootman, before he got injured.
And Javinho.
They got Jovino. They've got that new Japanese midfielder. I don't know. I forgot his name. But he looks Japanese. Anyone know his name?
Nangolan or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's from Belgium.
Is he from Belgium?
Yeah.
Oh, Nigel.
Yeah, that's
Him.
Yeah, he's proper like ball winning, like box to box. There's another guy for us, man. Like,
Okay, guys, we'll leave the listeners' questions there. Thank you for everyone who sent in questions. Sorry if we couldn't read them out. These guys like to chat a lot. So, we'll quickly move on to the weekend fixtures. We'll do our little prediction game as we always do. Recap on last week. Ellis finished bottom with 6. Daniel did slightly better with 7, only because he got 1 score right.
Nice.
So he got 7. Me, Io, and Leroy got 8 each. So top of the league is me and Io. But obviously, I'm going to be up the top because I'm here every week. So, and no, Ellis, I don't even know what you got first week. So you are bottom with 6 points.
Mental.
So we'll start with United Villa. Does anyone want to start?
I'll go. I think we will beat Aston Villa 2-1.
2-1. Okay. Any Ellis?
A 1-1 draw.
Daniel?
Who's at home?
United.
United win 2-0. 2-1.
2-1, yeah. Mickey?
I'm going with a comfortable Man United 3-1 win.
2-1. I'm going 2-0 United. Next we've got Palace Chelsea. I've got Palace Villa right now. Yeah, Palace versus Chelsea.
2-0 to Chelsea.
Who said that?
Mariah.
Okay. Ellis?
Yeah, 2-0 Chelsea. Comfy.
Daniel?
Man, we've got to win, so 3-1 hopefully.
You think you're going to concede against Palace?
I don't know, man. I'm a pessimistic guy. When it comes to Chelsea, I'm so pessimistic.
Because Shamak. Is Shamak even going to play? I don't think so. Christoph?
Going over 1-1 draw.
Ooh. Optimistic. I'm going 4-1 Chelsea.
Tony Pulis 4-1.
Yeah, trust me. Watch.
At home?
Watch.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Watch. It's gonna happen, mate. Watch.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll bet you a $5 right now.
Oh.
Yeah, PayPal, yeah? Cool, we'll do it.
Arsenal versus City, Maria. We're at home, remember. We're at home.
You're at home. 3-1 City.
Bloody hell. Ellis?
I'm gonna go for 4-0 City.
Oh my
just because.
God, these are the real.
Words.
Just because.
My guy, Ellis, you're my guy still. I like it.
Thank you.
Daniel?
I want Arsenal to win, so I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal.
And Christoph?
2-0 City.
Yeah, I'm going with that as well. I fancy us to get someone sent off in the first 5 minutes. We got Liverpool Spurs. 3-2 Liverpool. Yeah, that's yeah, okay. Ellis?
2-0 Liverpool.
Daniel?
Who's at home, sorry?
Liverpool.
Fuck. Alright, okay, we'll go. Fuck. Okay, I'll... I want Liverpool to lose so bad, but okay, well, 2-0 Liverpool.
Okay. Christoph?
SAS to do unimaginable things to that Spurs back line. 4-0 Liverpool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I think, I'm going 3-2. The Champions League is next week, apparently.
Is it?
Oh, lovely.
So, we'll do the English fixtures, okay? So, United versus Bayern. We'll start with Moreno.
I don't know why anyone's laughing. I see Bayern beating us 3-1.
How you man vote for?
3-1, I've said it.
Ellis?
You know, I'm gonna go for like a very conservative 2-0.
I like that. Daniel?
Who's at home, sorry, again?
United.
Usually the first games is just about staying in the fixture. It's Moyes' first time in Europe, but so I'll say something like 1-0 Bayern.
Okay. Mickey?
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0 Bayern.
Yeah, I like 2-0 as well. I think it's going to be 2-0. And then last but not least, PSG against Chelsea.
Who's at home?
PSG are at home.
1-1.
1-1.
Yeah.
Okay. Ellis?
Yeah, 1-1.
Daniel?
We'll go 2-1 PSG.
Christoph?
Same thing, I'm going to go 2-0 PSG.
2-0 or 2-1?
2-0.
Okay. Daniel, did you say 2-0 or 2-1?
Sorry.
I said 2-1.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 PSG.
I'm going to go 1-0 Chelsea. Can't see it. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us today. You guys have been great. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope all the listeners have enjoyed the show. We are now on iTunes, so you can download and subscribe and all this stuff on iTunes if you haven't already. We're at Touchline Fracas. Also on Twitter at Touchline Fracas. YouTube, we should have this up on YouTube and Mixcloud, so there's no excuse not to listen on another platform in the future. But yeah, thank you for listening, and thank you to my guests. Have a great weekend.
No worries. Take it easy, guys.
Always a pleasure.
Alright, cool. Bye.